Everybody in our family loves banana bread, so I am forever playing with different varieties, different ways to make it. And so today I am sharing my latest and greatest creation. It's a healthy chocolate chip banana bread recipe made with a not so secret ingredient, cottage cheese. If you've been watching for a while, you know I love cottage cheese. It's super versatile. It adds a lot of moisture to the banana bread, plus it gives it a fun little pop of protein. So if you've got some brown bananas hanging out on your counter, this recipe is for you. I'm Danny Spies. Welcome to Clean and Delicious, where I help you make healthy eating easy, delicious, and doable. So to make this recipe, the first thing I'm going to do is preheat my oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and then I like to prepare my pan. So you're just going to grab a loaf pan, and I really like to line it with parchment paper because this makes getting the banana bread out very easy once it's done cooking. So what I do is I lay the loaf pan right on top of the parchment paper, and then you're just going to go and cut the corners out in alignment with the pan, just like I'm doing here. And you want to do that for all four corners. Then I add a little bit of coconut oil. This could be butter, it could be cooking spray, into my loaf pan. I just spread that around, and then I fit the cut parchment paper into the loaf pan, and it goes in there very easily. The corners are cut, so you just want to smooth it out. Now, if you have excess at the top here, like I have, you do want to trim that because we don't want it catching fire in the stove. So I just trimmed that down, and then your pan is ready to go. Then everything else happens in one big bowl. We're going to keep it super simple. So I'm going to start off with my bananas. Now, you definitely want to use nice brown, ripe bananas for this recipe. They cannot be too brown. The browner the banana, the sweeter the banana, which is a great thing because the sweeter the banana, the less added sugar we need to use. So it's more of a naturally sweetened banana bread. Now I'm using 3 bananas, and once I weigh these, they come out to about 250 grams. That's what you're looking for. So depending on the size of your banana, it's going to be between 2 and 3 bananas, which is ultimately a good solid heaping cup of mashed banana. So I'll get that into my nice big bowl, break it into pieces, and then using the back of a fork, you're just going to mash the banana until it looks more like a chunky puree, if you will. Next up is the cottage cheese. I love cottage cheese. It is such a versatile ingredient, and it's a really easy way to increase the protein intake of traditional recipes that usually are lower in protein. So for an example, I'll use it to make protein pancakes or protein French toast, or in this case, banana bread. For me, especially as I've gotten older, I turned 50 this year, and I'm working on strength and fitness goals. I just love making little swaps like this. Plus, the cottage cheese adds a lot of moisture, and it keeps the banana bread nice and tender. Now, I do not mind these little cottage cheese curds at all. Actually, I like the way they cook up in the banana bread. But if they bother you, you could always blend up the cottage cheese first and then add it to the batter. Then to sweeten, I have a 1/4 cup of maple syrup. We don't need very much because those bananas are nice and sweet. And then I'm adding in 1 egg plus 2 egg whites. If you prefer, you could just do 2 whole eggs. But again, the egg white is a very easy way to boost the protein and keep the fats a little bit lower. So whatever works for you. And then we have just a teaspoon of vanilla extract. So I'll whisk this all together. I've got all the wet ingredients in the bowl. We'll get those really well combined. And then into the very same bowl, I'm just adding the dry ingredients. We're not going to bother with 2 bowls today. We're going to keep it really easy. So I'm going to start with 2.5 cups of almond flour. Now, almond flour is ground from whole almonds, so it's going to add natural fat, and it's going to keep the bread really moist and tender as well without needing to use any extra oil or butter. Plus, it's very nutrient dense. It's rich in vitamin E and magnesium, and it is lower in carbohydrates and higher in healthy fats than a traditional flour, which can be helpful in balancing blood sugar and keeping you feeling like full and satisfied after having your banana bread. Then I'm adding in a teaspoon of baking soda and then 1.5 teaspoons of ground cinnamon, which is going to give that warm, cozy flavor. And it's also going to make your kitchen smell delicious. And we mix again. We're just going to get the dry ingredients incorporated into the wet ingredients and just keep on going until you have a nice thick batter like you see I have here. And then the final step is to fold in the chocolate chips. My kids always request chocolate chips. I mean, you could do nuts, you could do raisins, you could do whatever you love, but chocolate chips it is today. So 1/2 cup into the batter, and then I always keep a couple extra to sprinkle over the top. And quick side note, if you wanted to pull back on the sugar, you could opt for a chocolate chip that has no sugar added. I'm going to link to the ones that I like down in the description box below if you want to check those out. From here, I'm going to carefully transfer the batter into the prepared loaf pan. And you just want to spread it out in the pan. Once you have it all in there, I just like to even out the top, just smooth it out a bit. And then just for fun and to let people know what they're about to eat, I love doing a few extra chocolate chips over the top. Okay, from here, I'm just gonna pop this in the oven for 15 minutes. Now, an important note, about halfway through the cooking process, I usually open the oven and I just take a piece of foil like this and I lay it over the top of the bread. Because it's in the oven for so long, that almond flour tends to get very brown over the top. So just covering it with a little foil about halfway through will keep it a nice golden brown without getting too brown. Now, this is a great recipe to add to your weekend meal prep so that you have it as a snack or for lunch boxes throughout the week. It also freezes really well. So that is another option. And I find that breads like this make a great gift idea. And I don't know about you, but I feel like in today's day and age, a lot of people don't like gift homemade food items anymore. And everybody always loves getting something fresh and homemade that's made from scratch. So keep that in mind as we roll into the holiday season. Okay, so once your kitchen starts to smell like delicious and fragrant, like you want to take a bite out of the air, that means your banana bread is just about done. And once you pull it out, you're going to see it's got this beautiful golden brown color over the top. And from here, you have got to tap into your patience. You cannot, this is not the kind of banana bread you can cut into immediately. You really have to let it cool down. I would say give it a good 30 minutes to come down to room temperature. And then you'll also notice as it cools, it dips in the center a bit. Totally normal. Mine does that as well. Nothing has gone wrong. So what I like to do from here is I just pull it out of the pan, and the way we prepared the loaf makes it really easy to get the banana bread out of the pan. Take off the parchment paper, and then you can slice your bread. And you are going to see that this bread, it's like tender and fluffy and chocolatey and delicious. And you're going to be quickly reminded that you absolutely can eat beautiful, delicious, nutritious food and stay in alignment with your health, wellness, fitness, and or weight loss goals. So as always, I cannot wait for you to give this recipe a try. And when you do, come on back to the comment section and let me know what you think. And in the meantime, if you also have a slight obsession with cottage cheese, you may want to try this recipe next, because I sneak some cottage cheese in there to bump up the protein, and it is so good.